They got to know things that I'm desiring to know that the church ain't teach me. So it's two things you find out, that a lot of people that have Hebrew names, they just as uneducated as you. But we want to get into our lesson on today. Definitely a very interested and familiar topic of conversation that we've constantly heard or we hear all the time. So we want to do some investigation. That's what B.O.O.M Academy is we investigate the scriptures, right? Like the Bereans, rightly divide the word of truth. And that's the thing, I think we got to really focus on rightly dividing, which says that there's a wrong way to divide too, right? Rightly divide the word of truth, which means there's a wrong way to divide, and that every word that you hear is not truth. And so we're going to get into that on today. We're going to look at something here. Is this familiar with many of you guys? I know most of us on social media, depending on who your friends are on your friends list, it determines whether or not what type of information that you get, what type of videos, movies, all that type of stuff. If you're just kind of a person that kind of, how can I say this? You're very cautious with who you accept as your friends. If you just kind of like, when you first come into this understanding that you are an Israelite, the first thing you do is you just go on a rampage, you send a friend request and accept the friend request of everybody with Hebrew names. I find that to be, after about a year, I find that to be dangerous. Because your mindset is that everybody that's identifying as an Israelite gotta be in the truth. They gotta know the truth. They gotta know things that I'm desiring to know that the church ain't teach me. So it's two things you find out, that a lot of people that have Hebrew names, they just as uneducated as you. They just become a part of the community and want to get a Hebrew name, but you start talking to them, you realize they only been in it a year, 2 years, or whatnot. And then whenever you find out that people start passing around videos and all this other stuff, and it can become dangerous in the fact. So this conversation is not going anywhere. Okay. This second Exodus conversation is not going anywhere. It's going to be around. It's going to keep going because the climate of the day in which we is, everybody, I look at it as the opposite end of the spectrum than the rapture. In the church, the rapture conversation ain't going nowhere. Everybody trying to escape. And so we've also in Israel, we've taken on this mindset, the great escape. We ready to roll. We ready to get out of here, pack our bags, flee, get on, get out of here, whatever the situation is. We just tired of being in wherever we at, right? So today we're going to do some investigation, and we want to, what passage of scripture have you heard, if any, revolves around the second Exodus? I couldn't hear you.
Thessalonians 4.
Thessalonians 4. Okay. What else have you heard as far as Exodus is concerned? Revelation 12 and Isaiah. All right. Anybody else? Yeah. Isaiah is probably the most popular one.
The second time will I gather my people.
Yep.
Israel.
Yep. We're going to investigate it today. Isaiah chapter number 11 is our investigation. Being a Berean is something else. These folks in Berea, it was just like this. You know what I respect about them? They didn't care. They didn't trust, or they didn't care about your rank, authority, or how many people you had following you, or how many people recognize you as some master teacher. It said that they investigated to see if Paul was telling the truth. You're talking about the Apostle Paul now. I want y'all to think about it. The Apostle Paul at the height of who he is and who he was, well respected amongst the Pharisees, well respected amongst the Messianic community. What's up, D? How you doing, man? Shabbat shalom. Well respected amongst these groups. And the Bereans say, we don't care. I want us to think about this. If we had Bereans in our day that was like that, I don't care what rank you got, how many people follow you, how big your channel is, how many friends you got on your friends, or how many places you getting booked. I don't care. We're gonna investigate to see if you're telling the truth. We're not just gonna go by what you say, Paul. We don't care about you sat at the feet of Gamaliel. We know your history, your pedigree. We know you well respected. We don't care about what you're saying unless it's true. That's right. So I think we have to get back to that. Search the scriptures to see if they're true. If we do that, we'll cut out a lot of foolishness. We will save ourselves 5-6 years of madness. We would. To find out 5-6 years later that everything that we thought we believed was true. We right back to being like how we was, what we say we were as Christians. If not even worse. Because now you don't put on the Hebrew name. You done cussed everybody out, fringes. You done told your mama you ain't coming to see her, and everything you thought you knew was a lie. Right? Let's investigate Isaiah. Isaiah chapter number 11, verse number 11. We're going to start with the famous passage. This is where we go wrong. Because we scripture isolate just like everybody else. In that day, the Lord or the Elohim will extend his hand yet a second time. So now as the investigators, we got to figure out, well, when was the first time? Every single word, as they say, every single nook and cranny. If I'm going to believe what you say, I'm going to investigate everything. Every word. I'm going to make sure I investigate this passage of scripture. If it take me a week, I'm going to break down every word. And I'm going to find out if what you're saying is the truth. Why? Why is this important? To the Bereans, it was important because souls was on the line. Salvation was more important than anything. It still is. But in our day, identity is more important than anything. Salvation, your soul, where you're going, is more important than anything. Anything. This is why it's important. So, in that day, what day? That's the question. I want to know what day, and I want to know when was the first time. And then I'm going to go investigate and find out, well, in that day, I'm going to find out what day it is, when, is it past, present, future? When is it? Then I'm going to find out about the second time, okay, what was the first time? Now I need to go investigate, how did he do it the first time? Because the claim is that the second time is supposed to be greater than the first. That's what the claim is. I didn't say it was true. I said that's what the claim is. Right? A second time. So now I need to go investigate. Then they say he's going to recover the remnant. Wait a minute. So if the second time is going to be greater than the first, then that means that the number of the people the second time got to be greater than the number in the first time. If it's supposed to be greater.
It's not greater than the goal.
There you go. That right there should raise the red flag. Not with the scriptures, but with the doctrine. That should raise the red. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. If the second going to be greater than the first, then how is it a remnant? So if I go look at the first time when it happened, the first time tell me Egypt. So now I need to look at the numbers of Egypt compared to the numbers of now. And how did it happen? And if it's going to be greater than the first, then I need to look at how did it happen the first time? And I need to see, well, how does it going to happen the second time? Because the second time is not the same situation, not the same location, not the same leader as the first time. We just walking every word. This is how you investigate. Everybody want to know, you want to know how to interpret scripture? I'm telling you how to do it. I'm giving it to you in a basic way, not the way we do it in this class in school. I'm giving it the base in layman's way for anybody to be able to grasp it. You walk the text. You take your emotions out of it. You take your presuppositions out of it. You take whether it's the white man, the black man out of it. You take everybody out of it. The only person that you have to that you keep in it is the Most High and the prophet who wrote it. And you got to go look at the time he was in. See, this is some real investigating. This how you break down scripture. You got to find out. Don't just look at what he said. You got to go look at the era he was in. Who was the king of that day? Well, what he's writing from prison? Was he writing amongst Israel? Was he a castaway? Well, all this matters. This is how the Bereans investigated to see if Paul was telling the truth. If they can check Paul and challenge Paul, if he's telling the truth, who in the world of me and you? He grew up in the culture. He know the history. He had to learn it in school. Us, we woke up yesterday.